It's time for Matt's List Corner. You know it's the hottest lists because the corner is always 90 degrees. Matt is Canadian, so he uses degrees Celsius. 90 Celsius is quite hot, just below the boiling point of water at sea level. For safety reasons, we won't let the lists get any hotter. Hello there, everybody. Now, if you haven't heard already, there's been a big balance pass for Shatterpoint. Lots of units, especially from that first year of releases, have gotten errata to make them, in the most cases, more competitive and more exciting. So lots of great changes have happened. We're going to see a lot of very cool new lists on this channel. If you're not aware of these changes somehow, you can check out the print and play that AMG has posted, and or take a look at my recap article on the 5th Trooper, where I kind of talk through some winners and losers, and I have some videos going through each change on Bombad Tactics, my main YouTube channel. Now today I'm going to go through what is probably going to be one of the more competitive lists coming out of this errata. At least one of the more competitive primary pairings, which is Ki-Adi and Anakin. Before we dive into the squads, let's take a look at why this pairing is so great. Anakin got a big glow up. He is a killer. He can attack 2 different units on his turn. If he wounds a secondary or primary, then he's going to be giving out a ton of dashes. Any sort of wounds, he's getting force refreshes. If he wounds a primary on his turn, he can still move that struggle cube. Lots of really, really good stuff. And of course, he got a ranged attack, which we're going to be talking about in a moment. Now, that combos really well with Ki-Adi because Ki-Adi has a trigger. When you wound someone, you get to dash a Jedi and heal them first, which helps if they're pinned or strained or something. And then also, he helps with force economy, which Anakin's much better now that he can refresh some force, but more force economy isn't bad. And he brings diceless displacement with force push, which is something that's always going to be really good. Especially in this meta, I think we're going to see a lot of sticky, steadfast units. So having a force push in your back pocket, not a bad thing. So Anakin's squad, I think this is going to be the default that I'm running with. And that's for a couple reasons. ARF, crucial for Anakin because they now have supporting fire dash. Now what that means, you can do a lot of tricks with it, but the most important for Anakin is, let's say you don't quite get into melee range. No fear, now that he has a ranged attack, you can do a ranged attack, then dash with supporting fire, get into melee for your second attack. Or you could melee one person, dash with supporting fire, melee a second person. It works really well with his double attack against 2 different targets, works really well with his new ranged attack. So they are staple to Anakin for me. And then Rex is a great way to use up force. If you have extra force in this list, maybe you get something wounded early, so you're getting lots of discounts with Ki-Adi, and you need to use that force on something or else it's going to go to waste, right? You can't take it with you. Rex can do that with I'm Always First Kid. He's also just very fast, and that's going to help us on objectives like Never Tell Me the Odds or First Contact, when you really want to dive those backline objectives. And of course, he can always move anyone on the squad. Both Ki-Adi and Anakin especially really like getting moved up before their first activation in the game because they can be a little bit slow. But of course, Rex doesn't have to target them. He could also target a support. He could target the other secondary. He could target himself if you want to go blitz across the board. So he brings a lot of flexibility. He's also a little bit of a pocket healer. I've had that come up really big in one of the games I've already played with new Anakin, where Anakin got disarmed and strained before activating. Rex was able to come in, heal all of that off using both the heals from Hunker tokens, but also heals from his combat tree. And then Anakin was in good shape, ready to go on a killing spree, as he is wont to do. Now in the Ki-Adi squad, you could get a little bit creative here, right? You could go with Shock T and a 3 cost, maybe something like Phil's clones if you want a little extra healing, 501st if you want a little bit of extra damage. Shock T brings some force, she brings more diceless displacement. She's certainly not a bad option. You could also go with something like Cody if you want a gun, a ranged killer. He's also going to give you some support abilities for your supports by giving them rerolls as long as they're hunkered. But that leaves you with not too many Jedi. So I do want to fit a Jedi in there. And one of my favorite Jedi secondaries is Ahsoka Tano, because she gets that free jump and melee attack after a combat action from a support near her. Very similar to I'm Always First Kid. So you can only use one or the other, but there's 2 sides of the board. And Rex might not be in the position that is useful, or Ahsoka might not be. So you can kind of use either one. Even when she gets injured or wounded, You're still reducing that force cost by 1 because of Ki-Adi, so it's very, very effective in this list. She can only target primaries with her tactic move, but that's not too big of a deal because the primaries are probably the ones we want to dash up anyways. As I said, they can be a little slow at times. So I really like Ahsoka. She's very solid. I don't think we need the force from Shakti. And the great thing is this opens up 4 points, and now Republic has a really good 4-cost support option, which is the 2/12 clones. What is one thing that Ki-Adi's not great at? Pinning his targets after he attacks them. So he can attack them, shove them, but if you're attacking, say, an Ezra or a Kanan, someone like that, there's a good chance they're just going to dash right back up. Maybe then you have to spend some force to force push. Then you can't force push someone else. Who knows? Coordinated fire pin allows you to make sure that they're not coming back onto that objective after you shove them off, no matter what they're rolling on their defensive expertise. Some people get a heal and a dash. Coordinated fire pin's not going to help you there, of course, but it's still very useful. 2/12, their attack expertise makes them much more consistent. Their defense is up to par with the rest of the clones. They're just really solid overall. They can even take a focus action, make use of sharpshooter, and still get some movements from defensive maneuver and the supporting fire dash from the ARF. So they fit really nicely in here. As far as the objective, because we have so many ways to do different moves, I'm gonna go with shifting priorities. We can kind of swarm the middle of the board quickly and win that all-important first struggle for shifting. I think we're gonna be pretty good at that. Sabotage isn't bad, especially for melee-centric characters like the ones we have. I just think there are gonna be people who maybe do sabotage a little bit better than us. I am curious to see how this works on Never Tell Me the Odds, now that Anakin has a ranged attack and we're fitting in Rex there. But I don't love it enough to make it our objective, but I would be open to playing it into something that has brought Never Tell Me the Odds. And First Contact, I think we're pretty solid there too because we have so many moves and we have really good killing power, which is handy, and lots of rangeless abilities because that one, everything gets a bit more spread out. You want things that don't depend on being close to other people. Obviously, Rex and Ahsoka want to be close to people, but stuff like Anakin dashes, Ki-Adi dashes, the tactics from Snips and Rex as well. None of them care how close people are. So First Contact could work really well. I haven't gotten enough reps with it and this list yet to really recommend it, so I'll play it safe and say shifting priorities for now. Before we go, I will run through some grades for my regular categories to see how this list stacks up. As far as force goes, we start with 7. We're going to get some refresh from Anakin potentially, and some discounts from Ki-Adi, so we're going to get a lot of bang for our buck on the force usage. For active mobility, we don't suck at it, but we're not amazing, so we'll go with a B. Out of activation, however, boy oh boy are we good. We've got lots of different ways to move our friends, a mass movement option in Anakin, so definitely an A there. Damage potential, again, we have Anakin. It's going to be an A. The rest of the team are no slouches, so well-deserved A there. Durability, not terrible, not great. I'll stick with a B. Displacement, we have lots of very good shoving units. Ki-Adi has that force push. That's enough for me to put these guys in the B solidly. So overall, a very well-rounded list. Lots of decent stuff. As I say, I think this primary pairing is going to be a very common one. What the rest of the list looks like might change from person to person, but this is what I'm going to be testing out mainly to start at least. I think it's going to be really good and probably really fun. So let me know how you like it and see you next time.